Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hype Mind. Good to see y'all today. Today we're talking about college education. Is it worth your time, worth your money? How are people responding to it? And
will it help you
is
out
it
in the
a
future?
risk? Is it an investment worth
Taking.
worth your energy? So with that, there's a lot of things to take into mind. And, Dan, you start with a great point there. A lot of people aren't very pleased with it. I mean, personally, funny enough, parents aren't even pleased with it. And, they're not the ones attending. They're not impressed with the education that people are coming out with. Employers aren't impressed with the education that people are coming out with.
Right.
The number of times.
And I think that brings up one good big question is, how has the education changed?
Yeah.
One, I think that everybody has now the same education, which makes a difference. There's less of a demand for someone that has a college degree. And also, I mean, do we have the same type of, are people being educated the same? Are they being educated better now? Are they being educated worse now? I mean, we have advanced in technologies.
But that doesn't guarantee anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But
well, there's a lot of consideration of us going backwards in society. But again, you look at a lot of other sources and a lot of people's own opinions on this, and now the common saying is, well, a degree doesn't guarantee you a job. And that's kind of a smack in the face, because what you were taught your whole childhood, what I heard my whole childhood, what a lot of people in their 30s and 40s and 50s heard their whole childhood was a degree guaranteed you a job. It guaranteed, you needed a degree to get into the workforce. And nowadays, it's the exact opposite. You spend all this time pursuing a degree, and it's, oh, well, it doesn't guarantee you a job in the workforce. It's like, poof, that's a smack in the face right there. So it's questions like that make people consider, well, is college worth my time? Especially with the cost. The cost has gone up just immensely. Student debt is a huge problem. That's been a problem in the United States for a long time.
But still, people are going to college because you have financial aid. So everybody can go to college, and it's not, before it was just never an option for people that can afford it.
Well, there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of things to consider. There's a lot to consider.
Affordable.
But it comes down to a person-to-person choice and to weighing all the odds in the end. Because there's a lot of things to consider. If you can get financial aid, awesome. If you have the money, awesome. But a lot of people don't have the money. A lot of people see it as their only option. And that's where people start making mistakes is, I can tell you as a high school student, like, almost 5 years ago now, that the pressure was immense. People were like, wait, you're not going to graduate and go to college right off the bat? Like that was the norm. Jump from school to school to school, roll through high school, boom, into college, like that was everything. And I was just kind of like, no, that's not for me. And so, there's so much pressure to just follow the crowd, to keep, my parents are expecting me to go to college. My teachers are expecting me to go to college. I don't know what else to do but go to college, and that's a limited mind. That's a very limited mindset to have, because the reality is the world's big, and education didn't actually exist in most countries until only a couple hundred years ago. Education was something you did on your own if you were wise and if you could afford a book or afford a teacher or knew someone who could teach you. It wasn't until a few hundred years ago, probably looking at the medieval ages, where people maybe, earlier, there was education earlier before then, obviously, but only the wealthy got educated in a lot of cases. Even in Western culture, only the wealthy could afford to go to school or good schools. So it's only very recent that education has become widely available, and still at a great cost. And so what I'm saying is, to think that education is your only option today is ridiculous, because look how long people have lived and survived and done great things in the world without any education, through a school system.
Yep.
You know, with that one option excluded, they still understood they had so much more.
Right. And also, like, a lot of people who go to school have no idea what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's interesting how jobs will only hire people with a college degree.
Well, that's what they say.
That's what they say. Yeah, that's one thing
But the
they
college
say.
degree also doesn't guarantee anything. It's kind of
Yes.
contradictory.
Absolutely. So sometimes I feel like now our society is kind of is very much towards fit the criterias of having a bachelor's degree, having associate's degree.
Meet the checklist.
Not hiring for actual value.
Yeah, it's a meet the checklist mentality.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You're not looking for integrity. They're not looking for loyalty. They're looking for 1, 2, 3 and done, because that's what pleases people and the government, and makes my life easy, I guess. I would assume. I don't know. I'm not an employer, so. But.
Right, but of course the question is that actually going to help the company flourish? I mean, you have women who are hired because they're women, trying to get the mix of sexes. People from other races hired because
to make neutralize and balance things. Yeah,
exactly. Some of these companies aren't even looking for the values, right?
Or value,
the education you had.
So hopping back on the education thing, though.
Hopping back on that, I think if you want to go, or when you should go to college, when you should get an education, is when you know what you want to do.
Yeah.
You can't be a doctor if you don't go to college. You can't be a lawyer. There's things you can't do without that education. You can't get your license to practice medicine without that college degree. So it's like, and this is sometimes why people are like, oh, I'm thinking maybe that direction, but I want to start with my 4 years, which might not be a bad idea. But also, if you decide not to keep pursuing something like that, then it could be a waste of your time and a waste of your money.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is this isn't an encouragement video to go backpack your young life away trying to figure out what your calling in life is. If you think you have an interest, pursue it. I think I want to be a nurse. Go look for, go speak to people who are nurses. Go look for a job that'll hire you as a what's the term? They don't pay you, but they employ you.
It's
yeah. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
I'm blanking it too. It's when you're internship. That's what it is.
Yes, an internship. Yeah. People who will give you an internship, people who will let you work as a volunteer, right? Do these kind of things. If you think you have an interest, pursue it, but don't pursue it down the path of a $250,000 in college loans in 4 years for something I'm not sure I'm interested in, right? I encourage you to find yourself, but I encourage you to do so at a cost you can afford to pay, right? Don't blow your life looking for yourself in nature. If you think you know what you want to do, try it out, but don't waste your life, hiking to the top of a mountain to find that, because you might find it, but you also might not. Maybe you do need some time in nature. I'm not discouraging that, but if you think you want to be a nurse, get in the field, get your toe in the water, but don't do it through a super expensive resource that's going to kill you. Don't drive a 3-hour commute to a hospital because you think you might want to be a nurse every day. You make that commute when you know you want to make that commitment. If you're not sure that's something you want to do, well, look for a closer hospital to work at, or move closer to the place you want to work at. You only have one life, pursue your interests passionately, but do it in a productive manner that's low risk, high gain.
Right. I'd agree with making people have trouble with this decision all the time. It's like, what
Yeah.
do I do? What do I do? What do I do? It's kind of like, I'd say, go with your gut, but also, like Andrew's saying, get your feet wet. Like, actually see what it's like.
Yeah.
You have more of a educated decision to make. But also, one thing I want to mention too is that the decision now, if you don't decide to go to college, there is still so much value in going straight into working.
Yeah. Or other forms of education.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Working is one of them.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, like go into the workforce, start making some money so you can afford college, and start gaining some real life experience. That's something I've been able to personally use. I've been able to go up to people and say, "Hey, look, I don't have a certification in this kind of work, but I have 3 years of experience in it. Or I don't have a certification in this, but I've done countless hours of this on the side, in my own side time. Like let me show you free of charge, not as an employee, but as a volunteer or at a very minimum wage, that I can do this, and you help me improve, and I'll be a benefit to you." Because that's what companies want. Companies want people who are going to be a benefit to them. But there's other ways to seek education too. You have an interest in nursing. Well, pick up a book and open it. Like you don't need to spend $1,200 on a nursing class every semester when the whole world of nursing is basically available to you for free through YouTube, through books,
Absolutely.
through
Yeah.
all sorts of this information. I bet there's a massive nursing podcast out there for people interested in that field. Like, come on, podcasts dominate most of the media right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one thing I actually think would become popular is less of the education, or less of college, and more of private events, of educational private events, being like, hey, I want to learn from this person. Like, I seen their work, I want to learn from them. I want to pay to see this person teach a event, like run an event and teach something about this certain skill.
Yeah. Those, a retreat or a seminar or a lecture.
Yeah.
And great sources of information. And what's funny is you go back to those old school days when you were a little kid in kindergarten or whatever, and they had bring your parent to school day to tell about their job or whatever, or something like that. They don't really, you don't see that happening a lot today. As you get older, you don't see a mom brings you to work because you might want to be a nurse type of thing. You don't really see that happening that often. It's like people need the opportunity to be taken into the fields they want to see, that they think they're interested in. And something else that we won't get into this movie, but we will touch on at some point. If you don't know what your interests are and you don't think you have any, that's a problem. But we'll talk about that. That's something that you can expand on and find solutions or answers to whatever you're looking for.
That's the case scenario. I'd say do something.
Yeah, just start doing anything.
First thing you say. Yep.
But we'll talk about that another time. To touch briefly on college real quick. Do you want to share your background, Daniel, really quickly?
Yeah, I don't have I never went to college. A lot of people give me credit for it. They say, "Oh, good for you." Like, you didn't go the direction that everybody else went. And I honestly can say that I have learned so much values in life, in working, in different skills, different, negotiating. I've learned so much from the jobs I have worked, where it has been an education for me the whole time while I was working and making an income.
Yeah, so similar situation here. I didn't do college when I got out of high school. I'm nearly 5 years out of high school now. I just started college last semester to do a couple of courses on the side, things that I was interested in. Most of them aren't even considered real college classes. Most of them are industry classes, kind of tech school stuff. But in the one class I've taken and the one I am taking now, I I already find it so not worth my money. If it wasn't being provided as a benefit of my job, where they cover my tuition to go to school part-time, I wouldn't be going. I definitely don't think it's worth my money personally. It's so expensive. The last thing you want is debt. I can tell you one of the biggest things I'm glad about, and one of the biggest pieces of advice people have given me as I've passed by them. You know, I've asked people I've run into, and I'd said, "Hey, what, you know, if you had a piece of advice for me, what would you share?" And that's a good thing to do a movie on too, actually. Good practice like that. Is they tell me, don't fall into debt ever, ever, right? And you'll see a lot of things like that. I've read a number of books where people have talked about getting out of debt, like you need to get out of it. Rich Cooper talks about helping people get out of debt when he first started his business because he saw how big it was. Dave Ramsey talks about it, right? Like all your problems are going to continue to exist if you don't first get rid of that. So that's one of the biggest things is like, don't fall into debt. And college is like one of the biggest ways to do that. It's one of the biggest traps for people. So if you can't afford it, don't do it. That's not to say that you can't, that's not to say people haven't succeeded going to college, getting a good job and paying the debt off. But I can say that I know family members who have been in debt for 20, 25 years after getting out of college, and they're still in debt, and they are still drowning in student loans. So be careful. It's expensive.
For sure.
I have learned more through books and YouTube and communicating with people who know what they're doing that I'm interested in than I have through my own college experience, and then it looks like through other people I've met have learned. So,
right. A lot of
weigh
people
the odds.
say about,
don't just jump in.
Yeah, a lot of people say about college is, you know, they're just getting a piece of paper, and it seems like a joke at first, but you know, after a while, it's like, yeah, it's like that's all they're looking for. They're not really looking for the value of the learning. Like Andrew said, it doesn't seem like there is much, you know, so much of that value in the learning, but getting the paper.
It's a two-sided thing. You know, there's a lot of students going into colleges not really knowing what they want, or not really looking for much in return, or they are going in energetically looking for something in return, and they're not milking it for all they can get out of it. But the other thing is, the other side is the colleges today are just, they are raping people financially. Absolutely. It's horrific. Like, the amount you pay for college is absolutely ridiculous, and it's not worth the value in most cases. And the colleges really aren't there to, there's a lot of great college teachers, but the overall themes being pushed by college are very politically, and it's all about getting your money in the end. It's very rarely about educating people to be the best they can be, or to be the best they can be in their field. So just consider those things, and make your own informed decisions. You know, we're telling you what we know from experience and what we've seen and studied, but we want you to not just, you know, like, hear what we're saying, but go out there for yourself and consider it. You know, don't assume we're wrong right off the bat. Don't assume we're right off the bat. Look into it. Make your own informed decision that's best for you.
Right. And if you're in college right now, right, if you already made that decision, it's like, yeah, continue. Like, even think about this now. You know, is it better stay in or get out, or continue and use your education to the best of your ability? Learn as much as you can.
Yep. Rome wasn't built in a day. So if you're going to keep doing college, little bites at a time.
That's right.
Play it wise, right? You always need to do a reality check with yourself, no matter what area of your life you're in, no matter what part of you want to do a reality check with. So constantly just reevaluate where you are. That's whether you're in college or not. And that is a wrap, folks.
All right,
that's
guys.
it.
Yep. Reevaluate.
That's all, folks. That Looney Tunes song.